Good morning. Today is May 16, Wednesday, 2024. We continue with Tanya. Today we have an interesting topic we can cover. Here's our Tanya. And then, what would you think is more spiritually elevating, spiritually enhancing? If you're just staying at home and just praying, or you're on a beach or in a deep forest by yourself, in unity with God, so to speak, and you're praying to God and you're emotionally so elevated, you're emotionally very connected to God. Versus if you go to the shul, to the synagogue, with the minyan, with other guys, and you're going through the prayer, Shachrit morning prayer, let's say, as we're going to have soon here. And, you have, let's say, 16 people, maybe 11 people, maybe 37 people, whatever. And people praying, and, one guy yawning, another guy maybe checking his text messages. So you have a feeling like it's not enough spirituality connected. I can't relate to that. I have to pray at home. Which of the two options is better? When do you feel more fulfilled? Well, I think the answer, I'll give you a second to think. Okay, thought about it? I think most people would say, well, if I have to go to synagogue and people don't pay attention, they just monotonally just going through the motions and saying their prayers. They don't even know what they're saying. Just blah, 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 finish praying, go to work. I would rather stay home and just be in unity with God. That's most people would say. Tanya has a little different view to that. And here, let me explain that. We're in chapter 50 of Tanya. This is our lesson now, I think, 82. We have 82 lessons building up, or 50 chapters already building up to this. We have 3 more to go, 53 chapters in Tanya. And Tanya basically is saying that, we talked about 10 sfirot, several layers, several worlds, that you elevate yourself up to the infinite light, to God. Tanya discussed before the difference between getting very close to God versus being one with God. Tanya talked about it, angels basking in the infinite light of God. They see God unfiltered, and yet they're not one with Him. And on this world, Tanya says, according to Kabbalah, that people can jump over the level of Yetzirah into level Biriah and be actually one with God, but with a connection thinner, smaller connection, yet not connected, but being one, like a rope, like umbilical cord of the baby connecting to the mother. Not huge cord, but is the baby part of the mother? Is the baby connected to the mother? Is it still part of the mother, separate entity before it's born? That's a big debate, even practical debate nowadays in society. So which one is better? Is the baby more closer to the mother when it's inside? And when it's just born, the child is 7 years old running around, it's your child, but it's not part of you right now. Which of this more intimately connected? I'm not a woman, but I would think that the mother feels very special connection to a 4 months pregnancy baby. That's something inside of me. Is this something separate? Is it part of me? Same feeling or similar feeling as it was God. So Tanya says, there's in each level there's a 10 sfirot, 10 attributes of God, so to speak. Figuratively speaking, the 10 sfirot, there's a central line, and on the right side there is a Hesed, properties of Abraham, kindness, mercy. On the left side there is a strength, Gevurah, and that's associated with Isaac, son of Abraham. The balance between the two is in the middle, which is compassion, which is a mix of Tiferet. The first one, Hesed, if the kid wants a candy, just give him a bag of candy, let him eat. Gevurah says, you can have a candy, but only 2. If you have more than that, you have problems with the teeth, you have to go to the dentist. So, that's Gevurah. Tiferet would say, well, not only 2, you can have actually 4, but you have to have brush teeth after that, but not 40. So Tiferet, compassion, splits the difference from a strict judgment. Well, the father says, well, actually, masculine term in Kabbalah is Hesed, and feminine term is actually strength. Opposite to what in the Western civilization world we can see. Mother is soft and father is hard. In Tanya world, in a Tanya, in Kabbalistic right hand side, is Hesed, kindness, and the left and masculine, and the left feminine side is actually Gevurah, strength. Okay, so that's what Tanya said. The core spiritual energies of the universe are divided into 3 lines of categories. The polar opposites, Hesed, which is giving, Gevurah, restraint, and Rachamim, possession. That's in the middle. That's characteristics of Jacob. Then Tanya continues developing this idea that the right-hand side is compared Hesed, kindness, compared to silver. Silver is actually connected to the priests. Priests supposed to be a giving of the Torah, teachers, Kohanim. The left side, the side of Levites, is actually compared to gold. So left side is actually more precious gold than the silver. Well, we just talked about Hesed is on the right, and it's silver. But Gevurah, strength, is actually gold. So in other words, like I just keep drawing analogies, simplify analogy. Is it better to just give your child anything he wants? I just love him so much, I can't resist it. Spoiling the child. Or go to another extreme and say, no, go to your room, finish your homework, and only then you can play. Or maybe not even playing at all. So that's the that's gold. That's Levites. All right. The Gemara, the Tanya also talks about the candle, the flicker of the candle. Kabbalah talks about the candle light flickers every so often. You see the flame wants to separate and just go to its creator, get away from this world. That is just attachment. This is a passionate, flickering flames. Look as if they are trying to ascend upward and leave their wick. Well, this would result in the flames being extinguished. They don't seem to care. They have a self-annihilating desire for transparency. That is example when the person is, I love God so much. I have to get so close to Him. But that is contradiction. On one hand, you can say it's kind of very limited because you're not calmly contemplating God with your mind. It's your heart connection. It's a heart connection. This is the left side of your heart, the heart of the animal soul that actually wants to get so close to God. Tanya continues, and it is from here, the heavenly Gevurah of the upper Bina, that the spiritual root, the umbilical cord of Levites is derived. You know, this is interesting to people who are last name Levine or Lewine or Lewin, something like that. That goes after Levites. And as you can see, as we're now developing this, it's as great, it's a gold comparing to Kohanim. You'll see in a second why I will build a case to show that praying with minyan, that is with a group of people in a synagogue, even though it might seem not as spiritually connected comparing to if you're doing it at home on your own, or at the beach somewhere far away in the calmness of the sea, on the forest, that actually not as strong as doing together with a group. And I'll continue to explain why. Tanya says, in the future, when the world will be elevated, the Levites, will be elevated to their rightful place, to become the priests, to become Kohanim essentially. Mr. Lewin, Levine, anybody who has a connection to Levites, this is your mission. Nowadays, people say, I don't know anything about it, I have nothing to do with religion. Well, whether you want it or not, that spark of the holiness of Leviticus, of that potential that maybe has been developed or was developing early in the childhood and then somehow got extinguished, not extinguished, but like simmered, eventually will light up. Sometimes within your lifetime span, sometimes in your future, after you're gone, through your children or grandchildren, your further generation. It cannot go away. The role of the Levites of making music in the temple actually hints to their spiritual past of the fiery love. They are singing in the temple. Kohanim just quietly doing their job. They were in the Holy of Holies. Priest, Kohen Gadol, could go to the Holy of Holies once a year on Yom Kippur, but nobody else can get close. Quietly, was no big fanfare. Levites playing trumpets, playing instruments, they were just excited going on here. Tanya says it's a higher level than just calm, spiritually connected, so to speak, elevation. The Tanya again stresses that we're speaking here of the advanced meditation state the person can achieve, which we discussed in previous lessons. So the fiery love described in this chapter won't actually inspire you to observe the Torah and the mitzvah. So, it doesn't inspire you to do this. Why are we saying it's better than Hesed? Why Gevurah is better than Hesed? If it's like you're saying, this guy is so enthusiastic, but he kind of bounces all over the place. He bounces all the walls. Calm down a little bit. But what Tanya says, that initial ignition, that fiery enthusiasm, will prompt a rebound. And again, Kabbalah oftentimes compares the connection with Hashem, with God, with the intimacy between man and a woman, the female waters that elevate female to allow the man to complete the act of connection. So first, you have to begin that passionate, fervent love, and then calmness will come, the climax of the relationship, so to speak. If you think about it, it's interesting analogy. It has to have some sexual connotation for the physicality, but it is a reflection of spirituality of connection of humans, us, with our Maker. So that initial elevation, fairy love, the female waters of Gevurah, of strengths, will prompt a rebound emotion, the returning, following the running away to God. So when you're in this ecstatic state of the intimacy, the world goes away. You're connected with your spouse. You're connected with your loved one. Nothing else matters. And then the real world comes back. So you rejected the world. You're in the connection. And then a rebound comes. And during this rebound, then it is a rebound, returning, that will propel you to observance, as Tanya will now explain, as we're now going to see that. Okay, so that Gevurah strength connects with Bina, with the next layer, Chochmah, Bina, Dat, and down to Hesed, Gevurah. So Gevurah actually connects to the Bina strongly and passionately, not to Ein Sof, but then that elevates, that motions, that is a Torah learning. That's your prayers. You think that's how you fully connect with God? No, that elevates your soul. But the then final calmness of Hesed will come. And so when you elevate it up, like you're going above the clouds, above the filters, and then your connection with God now will come. And that connection will happen through mitzvot, through action, through actually doing. So you're learning the Torah, you're doing the prayers, you elevate yourself. It's for you. But then you bring the mission of yours into action to the humanity. To elevate yourself, now you bring it down. So elevating up to get closer to Hashem, that's a prayers and a Torah study, because in the Torah is ingrained, as we discussed yesterday, the grain of direct, not a contact, but unity with God. So you connect yourself, and then you bring down the light to this world, and that happens next after the rebound. I made a little sketch. Here's the right side and the left side. Let's see if you can see that. So in that sense, when you think about Tanya's message here, people who are not very religious, quote unquote, the guy is walking down the street without kippah, when he went to the synagogue, and then he gets this, all of a sudden, some anti-Semites on the college campus call him a dirty Jew. And all of a sudden, that was enough to say that his terrible son, he goes to synagogue, he wants to rediscover his roots, not to establish, not to make something, but just open up something that was crusted away. And then the person has this connection. And that person, many times, a lot more stronger, that connection, after that initial life bouncing around, than the person who from birth, who was born in a religious neighborhood, a religious family, just went through a routine, did everything, knows all the mitzvot, knows all the prayers, knows all the laws, just lived a nice, a constant life. He had a connection with God, but that connection is not bringing. So he's in a religious community, but he is not associated with the rest of the world. He doesn't bring, so to speak, the light of connection to the rest of the community. But the person who actually went through bouncing around in life, Levite, Lewin, that person, if he is fortunate to one day, no matter of age and time, to reestablish his connection, the strength of this connection is incredibly stronger than the strength of the connection of the person who never experienced temptation, who never experienced problem, who never made mistakes, who just lived his life according to the Torah with no deviations. Now, you cannot purposely do that. You can't say, I'm going to live my life eating pork and not going to synagogue and not helping anybody. And then later on, when it's time, when I retire, I'll start learning Torah and do that. A priori, it doesn't work. The person has to naturally live his life just the way that the God planned it for him or for her. Sometimes it's a very strange route to God, roundabout way. It's a way of Levites, not the way of Kohanim. Kohanim are serving in the temple, that's their job. Levites were not running around doing these enthusiastic things. And that is, both have pluses and minuses, so to speak. Both have strengths and weaknesses. And that's a dilemma. That's duality of the humanity. That's duality of our nature. On one hand, too much light can blind us. On the other hand, not enough of that can diminish our understanding of God. The right way, that mediation and contemplation, can get you both. If you have structured your life, not to live on the mountain away from a society, but to be within society, not to bring yourself up to the highest spheres, like an Indian yoga, really is floating in the skies and being very close connection, physical maybe floating 2 meters, 6 feet up from the earth. That's very good, fulfilling connection personally, but it's a selfish connection. It's all for me. The rest of the world goes away. That is nice elevated state, but it doesn't help your neighbor to recover from illness when he or she is sick and you have to bring them a cup of soup or give a ride to the hospital. That doesn't help the poor for you to assist in the soup kitchen. That doesn't help stop the wars. That doesn't help to have peace between people. That second portion can be done by you training your animal soul to serve the humanity, to turn your animal soul to the good, not to selfish. It's all about me. Everybody else, I don't care. This is just me, my house, my family, my job, and that's my entertainments, my sports, and nothing else matters. That is good to take care of yourself, but it's not enough. You have to have both. You have to have integral life, both spiritually fulfilling and physically good, physically balanced. But the objective is to bring the light of Hashem to this world, to the lowest of the world, to the world of Asiya, not just remain in the world of Atzilut. And that's our mission. The method to do it is through the passionate move to get the engine started. That will elevate you, that's to build your muscles, spiritual muscles, to bring the light down. And once it happens, you have a gift. Then God gives you the gift, and then come calmness. And you now, in the society, in the world, in the universe, which is which is calm and kind. Well, some people call it Messianic days. Some people call it Mashiach, the person who comes into the world and makes it happen. Some people say that's just a process. That's just a state of the world. Some people say Mashiach is already here. We're just not using his energy and his love for us. And that love for the Mashiach is the concept. That's the energy. That's not just a person. That's not just an entity to whom you bow your head and you just pray to. That is a concept. That's a state of your mind that is now in unity with the mind of God. Now you speak your language, your thoughts, combined with the expression of God. Then you understand that what you do and when you say is the expression of the Almighty. That is where you really understand that Hashem is one. That's a Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, really comes down to. So there are a couple of concepts here we touched on, which can seem controversially against common sense. Coming back, that is why when you pray with a group, with a minyan, even though you find all the flaws, they don't concentrate. Do they know what they say? Does it matter if I pray at 6:53 or 6:51, splitting here? If I'm learning Torah, if I'm learning Tanya, do I really need to know if it's kosher chicken? Then this wing must be that length or that length, this and this. Who cares for these details? Well, actually, isn't it better just to sit and contemplate and feel I feel God. Yes, I'm very religious. I'm very observant because I feel. No, going to the imperfect meaning, imperfect connection with people, because Midrash says when you are 30% good and 70% not good, and another person is 90% good and 10% good, or whatever, when you have this mix of the imperfect people together in a group of 10 people or more, 10 guys get together, and they pray, then the union of goodness. You take all the good things, 30% from this guy, 70% from that, 90% from this, 1% from this. We all have some goodness, and all that combined goodness becomes 100% perfection. That is a minyan, praying with a group, working with a group, standing with a group accomplishes. Talmud says, do not separate yourself from the community. Don't be a hermit, holy hermit, sitting there or praying, or not even praying at all, but saying, I have a connection with God. I believe in God. I don't need to go to synagogue. Listen, I'm going to play golf and then go for a ride and do some work, but I feel that God is with me. Somehow I feel this divine presence in whatever form. That's good to have these feelings, but you have to develop it. And in order to develop it, you have to start someday. One day you have to come to the synagogue, walk in and say, listen guys, and don't be ashamed or humble. Well, I guess be humble, but don't be shy. Say, I don't know anything about it. What do I do? Can I just take some lessons? What time do you pray? And just be honest. I don't know anything about it, but I'm a Jew, and I want to learn about my background, my history. I want to know who was Moses. I want to know who was King David. I want to know how temple was built. I want to know the history, geography. Then, when you have even today's conflict between Israel and Gaza, for example, you will know even on that. You will know the background. What was in Gaza before? What was in Jerusalem before? Why is it called Judea and Samaria, not the West Bank? Now I have a knocking on the door, calling me to make a minyan. They have 9 people, and I will be number 10. I guess I have to fulfill the mitzvah and join the minyan. And I hope I see you there too. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow more on that. Tomorrow we'll begin with lesson 51. What is the Shekhinah? What is the Shekhinah? Divine presence. That's tomorrow lesson. It will be, I think, 83. Have a great day.